I'll need a motion. Okay, are we ready? Okay, I'll need a motion to come back into session. Second, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, back in session.
Mic's on.
Mic's on, phone's off. David, the last two cases are related. If you want to read them both together, one after the other.
Okay.
Amy, I think you're going to present both?
I am.
All right.
All right, this is docket OC 18005. An application has been filed requesting conditional use permits for community residents located at the 1400 block of West Highway 42 and 1512 West Highway 42 LaGrange. The second docket is docket OC 18006. An application has been filed requesting road frontage variance for two proposed tracts located at the 1400 block of West Highway 42, LaGrange, Kentucky.
Very good.
All right, as Mr. Pate stated, we're going to do these two dockets together because they are so closely related that the requested road frontage variance is for one of the community residence properties. So I'm going to intertwine these together, but again, you would have separate motions either to approve or deny the request. As Mr. Pate stated, the applicant has three requests. The first two requests under docket 18005 is for conditional use permits for community residences. And then the second request is for a road frontage variance for proposed tract where one of the proposed community residents would be located. The properties are zoned AG1 and CO1. The first parcel is approximately 10.32 acres, and the second proposed parcel is approximately 22 acres. That is taking, if they decide to take 2 acres from the 10.32, but we'll get into that in a minute. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to convert an existing single-family home located at 1512 West Highway 42 into a community residence for persons with acquired brain injuries. The applicant is also requesting a conditional use permit to construct a community residence on a lot to be created via docket OC 18006 at the 1400 block of West Highway 42, which is adjacent to the property listed above. So this is 1512 West Highway 42. Did I say west? Yeah. Highway 42. This is the single family home that the applicant is wishing to convert into a community residence for people with acquired brain injuries. Then this would be the approximate location of the second community residence, and we'll get into that here in just a second. So outlined in blue is the proposed tract of land that the applicant is requesting the road frontage variance for. So the first tract that I just spoke of is outlined in red. The proposed tract that's requesting the road frontage variance is outlined in blue.
So the second star would be part of the blue, not part of the red.
They would acquire the rear approximately 2 acres of the red parcel to put the community residence on there, and I'll get to the reason why. The applicant is proposing to create a 22-acre tract that would have only 40 feet of road frontage along West Highway 42, requiring a road frontage variance of 260 feet. Section 020040 and Section 030040 state the minimum road frontage requirement for parcels 2.5 acres and larger is 300 feet. So outlined in red for this one, this is speaking of the road frontage variance. That is the overall site, and then outlined in blue is the proposed tract that it would require the road frontage variance. It would only have 40 feet that would abut Highway 42. Approximately 2 acres of land from the adjoining property to the north will be consolidated with the proposed 20-acre tract from tract 3611M. The applicant intends to construct a community residence on the upper portion of the proposed tract in the AG1 zoned area, and the remaining portion of the land would be used for walking trails for the residents of this parcel and adjoining parcels. So you'll see this is our zoning map. everything that is in the light green here, or yellow, tan, is zoned AG, which is agricultural. Everything that is in the green is CO1. Community residences are only allowed as a conditional use in property zoned AG1. They are not allowed as a permitted use or conditional use in property zoned CO1. So that's why if they are granted the conditional use permit and the road frontage variance, they will take 2 acres from this parcel and locate the community residence in the AG1 zoned property to be allowed to have a community residence in that zoning district. So this is the survey that was provided with the application. And originally, when they had submitted their application, they were proposing the 40-foot off of Highway 42, and then a 10.6 acre tract and a 10.4 acre tract. Excuse me. But once we realized that all of that portion property was zoned CO1 and a community residence wouldn't be allowed, that's when the option of doing a property line shift and acquiring 1 to 2 acres from the property to the north and put the community residence in that zoned area came up, and that's how this delineation came through. So this would give you an idea of what the layout would be.
Hang on, doesn't the back star,
It would be the location of the second community residence.
yeah, but doesn't that fall within the CO1?
No.
But still, okay.
That's this red square there is part of the original.
That.
Yes.
Okay.
So that would be this square there. That's not a very good square, but. Okay, so community residence is defined as a residence licensed by the Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Human Resources, operated and maintained to provide a home-like setting for developmentally disabled individuals having only 1 kitchen and 1 dining area, both of which must be common to the residence, not adjacent to or part of an institutional campus operated by a sponsoring agency or individual for individuals who shall participate in community activities, use community resources where there are more than 5 persons who are not related to other resident by blood, legal adoption, or marriage. So that is the definition in our zoning regulations of what a community residence is. The community residence would have 12 to 16 residents with staffing ratio of 1 to 4 with approximately 2 overnight employees. The homes would include indoor and outdoor recreational amenities, quiet rooms, therapy space, therapeutic animal care, and walking paths. Community residences are listed as a conditional use on the property zoned AG1, which is listed under section 020030. There will not be excess traffic to and from homes or large delivery vehicles entering and exiting the property, and that came straight from the applicant's justification statement, as well as they also stated if the variance request is approved, it will allow the applicant to preserve the residential nature of the area and develop similar large residential lots. That is for the road frontage variance. So this is Highway 42. This is looking west, going back towards LaGrange. And again, these were taken when everything was pretty much white. This is the north view, which is across the street. This is the east view. This is the proposed community residence. This is the existing single-family home that they would convert into a community residence. This is just the detached garage that is on the same property. This is, which it's hard to tell, but this is the drive that goes back into the adjoining property owners.
I'm sorry, that's where?
This is the main drive. Let me go back and show you. Sorry, not too far. This is the main drive where it comes back. This is a shared driveway that goes back to the Carey's property. So this is a shared driveway. So this was the garage that I just showed you.
So the driveway is actually on the neighbor's property, based on the red line.
Correct. They have an access easement.
Okay.
That was the zoning, community residences. Okay, so that was the house, the garage. Again, this is the drive that goes back into the adjoining property owner's farm. This is the south view, so if you're in the driveway, this is the property to the right, which is the Carey's large farm. Again, this is just another view into the adjoining property. This is the east view, so this is the house that is proposed to be the community residence. This is just a pasture area, and then this, which got as close as I could, this is the area that will have the 40-foot, we'll call it like a flag lot. It'll have the 40-foot that'll go back and then open up into the proposed 20 acres. So that
This
is,
side of the fence.
yes, correct.
That's the 40-foot
That's the 40-foot leg of the proposed 20-acre
road
tract.
frontage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. And this is the north view that's right across from that, which is the same large farm, Dr. Mock's farm. So in summary, they are asking for 3 items today. They are asking first for a conditional use permit to convert the existing home that's located at 1512 West Highway 42 into a community residence. Then they are also asking for a conditional use for the proposed tract at the 1400 block of West Highway 42 to have a community residence on that proposed tract. And then there's the variance for the proposed tract for road frontage. The proposed road frontage is 40 feet. The required is 300. Therefore, they're requesting a variance of 260 feet. And that is all that I have. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Go back to the zoning map real quick. Where does the C3 come in?
There is no C3. CO1, which is conservation.
Keep going. Right there.
Oh, C3 is, it's a piece of, whoops, it's a piece of property to the north.
Okay, so just that property is
Yeah.
on C3, okay.
Yep.
So in terms of this, under Division 20 AG1 Agricultural Residential District, this is being applied for under the section 02-030 Conditional Uses Community Residences.
Correct.
That does not exist in the CO1, correct?
Correct.
What is the distance between the two, the existing structure and the proposed new structure?
That would be a question for the applicant. I don't think that the actual location has been determined at this point, but you can clarify that with the applicant. It would just be located in the portion of the property that's zoned AG1.
Was there another residence on the, let me scroll to some of the pictures.
An aerial? Oops, sorry, went the wrong way.
I keep going. I thought where the drive, yeah, that's fine. What is,
The driveway comes back. Let me get my bearings.
yeah, where's
Comes
the, all right,
back.
that's the driveway.
Yeah, and then there's a house here,
Okay, which is the, that's the neighbor. What
which is
about,
1508.
yeah, what about, why does
A
it
barn.
sometimes? Okay, all that's agriculture, barn? And I'll ask the applicant.
It's a barn and a riding arena.
Okay, all right. Okay, this property right here is not in question? That is not part of any of the development, is that correct?
Well, that's the parent track for the road frontage variance,
Got it.
but they're not proposing a community residence on any of this. They're looking at acquiring the blue track, which is the one that is requiring the road frontage variance.
I'll ask the applicants the same question. However, maybe I'll hold that for the applicants, sorry. Any other questions for Amy?
Amy, should the area that you have highlighted in blue there, where the red star is located, is the line drawn properly, or should the blue line fall back further?
It's an approximation. It's not a survey.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions for Amy at this time? I'm sure we'll have more to come. Okay, thank you, Amy. We can have the applicants come forward.
Good morning, I'm John Talbot with Barden Warper Talbot and Roberts. My address is 1000 North Hurstbourne Parkway, Louisville, Kentucky 40223. I'm here representing the applicant, Resilient Life Care. I have with me Eric Mikowski and his wife, Wendy Mikowski. We also have David Garber from Chilton Medley, the land planner and engineering firm that's been working on this project. First of all, I want to start out with giving a little bit of, well, I'll hold off on the background. The first thing I wanted to do is talk about just the general standard for a conditional use permit. I mean, conditional use, and this use we're specifically requesting for community residents is specifically allowed in AG1, in the area that we're proposing that it be. The standard for conditional uses is to allow the proper integration of land uses in the community due to their extent, nature, and operation, in relationship to the natural resources, and must be considered an exceptional case in the interest of the safety, health, and welfare of the public. The proposal that we have today with Resilient Life Care is to take care of brain-injured adults, and I guess children too, but I think primarily adults. These are people that cannot take care of themselves. You could not have a more needy population, a small population. You could not have a population that has less of an impact, less of an intensive use than you could possibly have in this type of conditional use. It's certainly needed for the health and welfare for any community. Certainly Oldham County needs it, and the development code specifically allows it to be in this area. We're here today to tell you and present to you our plan to show that it complies with all the intents and purposes of your land development code, and hopefully you all will agree that it should be approved. Amy has already gone through the definition of community residences, and I just highlighted a particular portion in blue. I won't read it all since she already covered it, but it's operated and maintained to provide a home-like setting for developmentally disabled individuals. That is exactly what our intent is. This is not to create a commercial type development. The buildings will not be commercial looking in nature. They will not be commercial operating in nature. This is a home-like setting. Not just to meet the standards to make it comply, but to provide a home-like setting for these needy individuals that certainly need it. These are individuals that they need an environment that's easy for them to work in. They need an environment that's going to be familiar to them. They need an environment that's going to be safe. And a home-like setting is exactly what we want for these types of individuals. The definition in your all's code for developmentally disabled is an individual having a disability attributable to mental retardation, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, autism, or dyslexia resulting from these, and this is the part that applies to us, or to any other conditions closely related to mental retardation in terms of intellectual and adaptive problems. Again, we're talking about brain-injured adults. I don't think there could really be any sincere debate that these people fall under the definition of developmentally disabled individuals for the purpose that we're proposing. The zoning classification, Amy did a terrific job going through all that, and my drawing is a little bit more crudely done. What I'd like to do is give you a little bit of a history on this property, and I think this would be the best place to start. As you notice, my drawing is actually done backwards from Amy's, so just to get your bearings right, this is 42 here, and this is pointing south, going up on the property. I don't have the lines drawn, but this area right here is the 10 acres that is 1512. This is the area that is all AG1, and this is the only area that will have any homes or development. The area in the back, these two tracts here, this one and this one, this is the 22 or so acres that is CO1. This is the conservation property. There's going to be no development on that. It was really important to our applicants, to my clients, to preserve that land for the intended purposes of conservation property. We've included that in the CUP primarily because while there won't be any development on it, they do want to utilize that land for walking paths. You may have noticed on one of the other pictures there was a barn that currently exists. It's a horse stable. They want to retain that piece of property, and they're going to have horses in it for these individuals. So we'll have people using horses, walking around the property. I can't imagine any type of use for conservation property that would be more in line with the intent of Earls County and how you would want it used. Just in terms of, we have the flagpole which will go up this side. Now, one of the variances that we're requesting is the 40-foot variance on the frontage of the property. The history that I wanted to mention is that this property, the front 10 acres, used to be 2 lots. It was changed around 2006 to take advantage of the tax adjustments for agricultural property, so they conjoined it all. So in the very recent history, last decade or so, these were already 2 lots. Effectively, we're actually including the conservation property, but effectively for the development, we're only talking about returning the land to that stage. We'll have the house where it currently is, and then also a house and a development on that 2 acres that used to be in existence. In terms of the entrance and in terms of putting a burden on infrastructure of Earls County, there will be no burden on it at all. We are moving first of all, we want to take away from having to put any imposition on the adjoining property, which is here, that's currently where they have the easement, the access easement on the driveway that serves the adjacent property. They want to create this to have a driveway solely on their property that will serve the current house and then also serve the second home that they're going to build more or less on that 2 acres or the back acres of the AG1 property. So instead of imposing anything on infrastructure, it's actually going to reduce any impact on their neighbor. And in terms of the use that we're talking about, there will be no impact on the infrastructure. I think Amy pointed out the little amount of traffic. I mean, these people are disabled mentally, so they're not driving cars. The only traffic you will have is the coming and goings of people who actually work there, which is not a terrific number, and occasionally some relatives, I take it. And unfortunately, we would like seeing all these types of homes where you have family come visit them more often. You know, they just don't. It's sad, but they just don't. But the amount of traffic going in and out of this property really will not be any greater than what you have in a typical residential home or 2 homes that could be developed on this property and could have been developed up to 2006. Additionally, the variance that we're requesting of the 40-foot to give that road, in addition to relieving the burden on the adjacent property, if we didn't ask for that, and if you go back to 2006, even without that flagpole, there's a prescriptive easement to give access to that property by law anyway. So although we have to technically ask for a variance, all we're really doing is asking to formalize what the law provides us anyway, and would have up to 2006 when that was actually 2 separate lots. Okay? So in terms of history, I wanted to make that clear. I've given these pictures, I don't think add anything on what Amy already showed you, so I won't waste your time with that. This is a picture of the current house. As you can recognize, it is a normal home that is completely in character with the area, even though the area is agricultural. There's a lot of homes just like that in this area. The only change that they'll have cosmetically to the outside of this home is having ramps for disabled access. That's it. Nothing else. So for anybody driving by, and in fact, even if you actually drove onto the property and stood right in front of the house, it would be imperceptible that there was any change to the character of this home or change to the property. The second house will be done exactly the same. It will be done as a single-family home, and as the codes require, there can only be one kitchen and one dining room. So it will be continue to be in the exact same format of a residential home, just with people living there. These are some pictures. I wish they're a little bit larger. These were provided with the purchase material, but again, they give you a little bit more of a backdrop. And you can also see in this picture the horse barn that would be used. Actually, is that the horse barn, Eric, or is that the garage next door? Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to misstate that. And here's the house looking around the front and back and sides of the home. Very much residential nature, and again, that will all remain exactly the way that it is. This is the inside. It's all going to be pictures that are not particularly important to you all, but I just wanted you all to see this is what it looks like now, and this is what it will effectively remain. It's going to remain looking just like a single-family home. The rest of the slides until the very end have more to do with resilient life care and some of the particular things of their company. I'd like to bring, unless you have any other questions for me right now, I was going to bring Eric Mikowski up to give some background on his company and give a little bit more specifics exactly on what they do and how they intend to do it. Thank you.
My name is Eric Mikowski.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
My name is Eric Mikowski. I live at 11500 Valley View Road in Louisville, Kentucky, 40223. And Resilient Life Care is contemplating this beautiful home to be converted to a 6-bed facility for people with acquired brain injuries. We will not be accepting public funding for this. This is all going to be private pay. These are people that have typically had an injury and there's been a settlement and a trust set up for them, a special needs trust set up for them. These are folks and their families that are demanding a high quality of service in an upscale facility. People with acquired brain injuries affect every facet of their ability to function. Physical, cognitive, and emotional being. We're not taking folks that have behavior problems, even though some people that have had acquired brain injuries exhibit some behavior problems. We're not accepting those types of people. And families often lack the specialized training and the resources needed to manage the care for these individuals. So we will be solving a major problem for families that have a loved one with an injury. We don't intend to have somebody just live their life out quietly in this home. We want them to approach life with purpose, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The program will have a maximum in the first house of 6 people. In the house in the back will be a little bit larger, 12 to 16 people. There'll be a 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 staff to resident ratio based on the needs of the residents that live there, and there'll be 2 awake staff in the facilities at all times. We plan on having indoor and outdoor recreational amenities, including private bedrooms, quiet rooms, lots of recreational space, therapy spaces, exercise space, therapeutic animal care, and walking paths. The programs will be developed by a neuropsychologist as far as what happens. We will have some therapies that happen on an ongoing basis in the facilities, but it'll be very minimal. These are people that have already been through a tremendous amount of rehab. They've made most of the gains that they're going to make in their life, and they need a quality of life sort of situation where they're living now. Frequently asked questions, are these residents aggressive? No. The people that we're taking are typically going to be more vulnerable as a population. So they're going to have some physical mobility problems. They're going to have some cognitive problems. I think Amy and John covered it really well. Traffic isn't going to be a nuisance. There isn't going to be linen service or supply service or food service. You know, we do shopping in the community. There won't be emergency vehicles on a regular basis because these folks will all be medically stable. And there won't be any excessive noise. As a matter of fact, our folks benefit from a low stimulation environment. So they really enjoy quiet surroundings, and they want their neighbors to be as quiet as they are. And where do they like to go? They like to go to anywhere we do, the local stores and restaurants, libraries and churches. They go to music venues and sporting events. And because I have experience with this, many of these residents become popular local figures in the community because they have access to lots of recreational events, but they also do lots of volunteerism. They do part-time jobs and full-time jobs as well. So initially, there will be 11 direct care employees. These are benefits for Oldham County. 5 contract professionals, 2 local executives. There'll be property and local tax revenue increases. There'll be about $2 million annually in employee pay that'll be circulated in the community. And we spend about $2 million annually in the purchase of local services and products.
Just very briefly to sum up and conclude, this plan is completely consistent with your all's comprehensive plan. From the business and labor, it provides jobs. It's very, very low impact on your all's infrastructure, if there's any impact at all. It does not have any impact environmentally. It's going to protect the conservation land, and it's also going to provide a very needed and necessary and important service to your all's community. As I pointed out, the homes are completely compatible with the character and uses of the land currently, and none of the things are going to adversely influence or impact anything in the county. So those are all my questions, and if you got any questions, we're happy to answer them. Thank you very much for your all's attention.
Thank you. Board members, questions?
I'm not sure if this is for him or actually a staff question, is in terms of community residences, are there any limitations or definitions about size, residence, how many, anything at all that defines what that is under the regulations?
There's no conditional use standards for community residences, so no limitations on size or anything of that nature, other than what was already listed in the number of, has to be more than 5 people unrelated.
Oh, I'm sorry, Amy, what was the very last thing you said?
The definitions, I believe it says it has to be a minimum of 5 people unrelated by blood, marriage, or adoption, or something of that nature in the definition, but that's the only standards.
So what, I didn't write it down quick enough. The first residence would have 6 people? And the
Yes.
second one would have how many?
12 to 16.
Going by the same line of questions, this is what I jotted. 6 on the front, 12 to 16, did you say 12, 16 on the rear?
That's correct.
Okay. Staffing ratio is 1 to 3. 2 staff, all full-time? Is that correct?
Eric, can you answer the question about the staffing?
Yeah, it's a wake staff. So during the day, it'll be 1 to 3 staff to resident ratio, and on the overnight, it'll be 2 staff awake.
Gotcha, okay. All right, a total of 11 employees
To start with,
to start with, and 5 contractors?
yes.
Contractors on site, employees on site?
Employees on site, they don't live there, but they come and go.
Come and go,
on shift.
and that's part of the 1 to 3 and 2
Right,
full-time? And then the contractors, 5 contractors?
yeah, occupational therapy, speech, physical therapy, vocational,
Come and go,
yeah, come and go.
every day?
Not every day, no.
Just as needed?
As needed, yes.
And then 2 executives, just
Program
on
director
site?
and a case manager, yes. They would come usually Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Again, come and go, not staying on site.
Right,
So staying on site, you've got the 6 residents in the front, 12 to 16 in the back, 1 to 3 staff, and then on site you have 2 overnight,
Yes,
2
sir.
employees.
Yes,
That's-
sir.
So when you talk about walking paths and other access to the rear, if some of these people are brain injury, I assume some of them would have access limitations. So what is your plan for development onto the CO area so they would be accessible?
Crushed granite or a crushed aggregate to be able to still wheel a wheelchair, or somebody in a walker could still navigate that.
Maybe on the path, any other plans for development?
In the back, no.
In terms of the horses, are the horses used for therapeutic purposes, or tell me
Yes.
more about that,
There's
please?
therapeutic animal care. Over time, we would like to develop therapeutic riding there, but initially, they'll probably be older horses that are in need, and the residents can help take care of them.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So in terms of the second residence, there's nothing in here. You referred to it as being similar to the house in the front, or one of you did, but we didn't talk about size comparison. So in similarities, if you're going to be housing at least double, if not more, is the second residence planned to be much bigger?
It'll be larger, it'll be 8,500 square feet.
How much is the front one?
4,000? 4,000.
Go ahead, Larry.
You said there won't be any additional modifications to the home, other than just personal living type modifications, other than ramps.
Just to correct, I said on the outside
Exterior.
modification.
On the
Exterior,
outside.
yes, sir.
Property-wise, what about modifications to the property, other than the addition of the second home, which we'll talk about that in a minute, but signs, lighting, advertising? Can you tell me anything about,
We propose a small sign at the entrance, no larger than what is already there, that says Angel Share Farm right now. Some fencing in the back to delineate our property. And probably some lighting, downward lighting in the parking areas.
the sign, will it be lit?
No,
And that would be all covered by local regulations, nothing we need to deal with as a board.
Parking area, you said downward lighting at the parking area. Is there already existing parking area there beyond a driveway? And are you,
there is an existing parking area at the existing house. And we're gonna continue to use that.
are you gonna
No plan.
modify that in any way?
No.
So just add downward lighting to what's already there. Advertising? Any advertising on the property, any visible advertising?
No,
Beyond the small sign out front that,
no, sir.
house in the back, 8,500 square feet. It's double the one that's currently up front. Other than the size, will it fall within general character of the area, the building material, look, feel?
Absolutely. We want to make it look just like the first one.
How far off the road is the first building? How far off the road is the proposed next building?
Maybe a better question for Mr. Garber here. David, could you come up and address that issue?
David, we'll have to get you sworn in. First, you get up front.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
And name and address.
My name is David Garber with Garber Chilton Engineers, 2249 Commerce Parkway, LaGrange, 40031. I'm going to show this. This is another, and as John had, we're looking at it from, let me get to Highway 42. This is right here is the property that's all part of the front. There'll be 2 acres cut off from it. And then these lines here, these are proposed, they will not exist because there'll be one tract in the back now, and it'll be 22 acres. So we'll have 8 acres left in front and 22 acres in the back. The current house, which sits about here, maybe sits 150 feet or so off the road. So when you put this house here, there's going to at least be about 900 feet between them. So it will be back quite a bit.
Why not consolidate all the lots, including the flag lot?
Well, at first, they will be operating, maybe I'll let you answer that. I know you're going to be operating this, the one that sits up here is ready to go. You'll be operating that first.
Right.
But we're not consolidating this into this. This would be a piece of property, and then this would be a piece of property all the way back.
I'm more so interested in the one that has the 40-foot, asking for the variance.
Okay.
Why not consolidate that one into what's already there? Yeah,
Our regulations state that you can only have one single-family house on a lot.
Yeah.
So this would have to be 2 lots in order to have the community residence.
gotcha.
So we'll have the 8-acre tract here with the house on it, and then a 22-acre tract in the back, 2 of which is in the AG1 that allows them to build the house.
Okay, further questions?
I have different questions altogether. How many other facilities, homes like this do you currently operate?
I recently sold a 55-bed facility in Austin, Texas. So I don't operate any at this time.
And there was experience mentioned in this, operating these types of facilities. What's the experience, please?
I've had over 25 years of experience in residential care for people with acquired brain injury, and my partner has over 20 years of experience.
And in Kentucky or other states?
All in Texas.
All in Texas. Why here?
Well, we live here now, so I can have greater oversight over the facility, and there's a lack of these kind of programs in the area. So it would be, we think it would be attractive to our folks that we're trying to refer and admit.
Why 2 residences instead of just expanding the first? If there's no limitation as to community residence, you talked about a 55 facility, why not expand the current home? Why build 2?
Well, I think the first one is really a kind of what we're trying to do as a proof of concept to make sure that we can get enough people in there. And if the business is a going concern and we have additional referrals, we would build the second one, is the intention.
Similar question, and so that answers, you currently do not have the 6 for the front and 12 to 16 in the back, correct? The residents, you currently do not have the
The
residents?
referrals, no, I
the
don't.
referrals.
I'm not familiar with permitting for these types of operating these types of facilities, but there are permits that are required to do so.
Yeah, we believe we've got initial indication that this will be an assisted living facility, a small assisted living facility license, without a certificate of need that's needed because it's all private pay.
And, see, are we still in testimony? Yeah. Any issues with facilities that you've operated in Texas in the past?
No, not at all. They operated very well. We had good relationships with our community, with our neighbors and all that.
Nothing legally, and there are no legal constraints in Texas with you operating
No,
there?
I could still operate in Texas.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Yeah, I have something.
Sure.
I do have a little experience with the assisted living as far as permitting. I have worked on some of the projects with Cedar Lake Lodge. And from that experience, I've learned that over the country overall is going away from the large facilities that house, hundreds of people into the smaller group homes. And this fits right in with what Cedar Lake Lodge and others are doing around the state. And I believe the ones that Cedar Lake did here in Oldham County were the first of what's going to be many more. So the movement around the country is to have individual houses for a smaller number of people to live in.
Okay, other questions?
Do you currently have any proposed clients at this point?
We do. We have a number of referral sources that have indicated they would like to have a facility in Kentucky. And these are funding sources typically that work with individuals that have had an injury due to a medical malpractice claim. So they have trusts set up for them, and they've indicated they would like to move to Kentucky.
quite frequently, we will, when we approve cases, quite frequently, we'll put conditions on them, conditions for, size and scope and whatnot. Beyond what you guys have already given testimony on, would you be opposed to, conditions, relatively close to what you have already stated, such as, not to exceed X number of residents or X number of employees or traffic? And I can get more specifically once we, talk as a group, but do you have any, reservations, setting any conditions beyond what the testimony's already given? Okay. Any further questions? Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
If I can call forward anybody that wishes to speak in favor. Hello. If I can get you to raise your right hand, be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Your name and address?
Haviland Argo, 9606 US Highway 42 West, Goshen.
Okay.
And I'm here today with Laura Lee Brown, and originally Ms. Brown and Mr. Wilson had submitted a letter for against the proposal. However, after hearing the presentation today and understanding a bit more about the project, I think Ms. Brown would like to change to a positive for the project. However, she is interested in limiting the number of adults living in the second facility that's yet to be designed or put on the property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, questions?
This may be a very minute point, but when he swore in with his left hand, so
Didn't notice that.
I'm sorry, but I'm anal, so.
Here, actually, if you can come forward again. So you had stated that, that the opposition, could possibly be withdrawn. However, the intent is to limit the number of residents on the second structure.
Yes, correct.
And did you have any thoughts as to what that limitation might look like?
I think, as stated, the 12 to 16 would be appropriate as a max.
Okay, I think that's 12 to 16, and I can get clarification in a minute, but 12 to 16 plus employees.
Correct.
Which had 2 overnight and then the 1 to 3 ratio.
Yep, that would be acceptable.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of the application? Yes, sir. If I can get you to,
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
your name and address?
I'm Richard Carey, 1468 West Highway 42, LaGrange.
Okay.
And I'd just like to say, basically, we're in favor of it. I think it's a wonderful thing they're doing. And I like to appreciate y'all. Y'all asking really good questions to get to the bottom of this thing and find out what's helping me a lot, explain what's going on. We own the driveway that goes back. Our daughter originally built main part of the house they're talking about, and then we put the 300. We gave them that property, and then we put our driveway on our property to go back. We downsized. We had a house in front. We built a log cabin back in the back. That's where that driveway goes, a log cabin back there. And that driveway goes back there, and it's all on our property. I'm really glad they want to put the driveway in the other side. But we're going to be driving past that second house. Concerns me just a little bit. We're going to be driving right past that second house. We don't know what it looks like or how big it's going to be, or I'm sure it'll be, the first house is fantastic. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But basically, we like what they're doing. It'll help the neighborhood, and we have no problem with it. Y'all answered a lot of my questions, and I thank y'all again for asking some really good questions to clear it up for us. Does my
Richard-
wife, you want to say anything?
Thank you for your testimony. we did ask about the second house
Yeah,
and asked about the general character, and the testimony given was it's same look and feel, same building material, very similar to.
Yeah, I thought there was gonna be 5 in that first house, and then the second house might not be built, I don't know, it might be 2, I don't know how they're gonna do that, but it's gonna like double the good question you asked about how many people's gonna be back there, but like I said, we'll be driving right past it, and, which won't affect us at all. Basically, I think it's a wonderful thing they're doing, they're real nice people, we've met them, and, I think they'll be good neighbors.
Thank you, Richard.
Question? So you had, of your concerns, being the neighbor, are there any things in terms of conditions that you would like us to consider?
No, I think y'all know your business, you're doing a good job.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else here wishing to speak in favor of the application? Opposition? Yes, sir.
Amy could help me show the location of my property.
I can get you sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
And your name and address.
David Lerting. I'm at 1000 West Highway 42, LaGrange. If she could pull that aerial map up,
You're right here,
okay.
right?
Yes.
1,000.
My concerns, and I haven't heard anybody speak about it, we've been out there 12 years. It's agriculture, it's in the country. I'm an avid hunter. I'm a sport shooter. On the back of that property on 1000, you'll see a drive going back to a barn. Touch the screen and draw. Okay. All right. Right there. Okay. I have a backdrop and a rifle and pistol set up at that point. Anytime during the summertime, weekends after dinner, me and my family could be out there shooting. And we shoot a lot. Large calibers, muzzleloader, shotguns, AR-15s, a lot of noise. I'm not the only one that does it. I have a neighbor behind me that actually shoots more than I do. And I think this is a great thing, but I think we're out in the country. Things happen. I'm a deer hunter. I'm a small game hunter. I mean, from anywhere from August to November, I'm small game and deer hunting. I do spring turkey hunt on my property. I'm concerned about, and I just want to express it to the board, that this is what I do. And I'm hearing quietness and other items going on here, and I'm worried. I mean, am I going to have my rights infringed on because of this? I'm out in the country where I belong. I just want to express be on record.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
So, I mean, anyone who, including myself, who takes a gun out into any area, I'm responsible for where the shots go.
Right.
And being that you're concerned about your rights, I mean, you have to be responsible for what
Exactly.
you're doing.
And
so
let me point
what
this-
rights are? Let me ask the question, please. What rights are you concerned that will be infringed upon, sir?
I'm concerned about maybe getting a phone call or a sheriff come by, concerned about the noise. That's what I'm concerned about, the noise. We have a responsible backdrop at the back of that barn. We shoot through metal plates going in, two sets of metal plates going into a hay bale. They're not going anywhere. They're in the ox street out on the other direction. It's the noise.
David, how far would you say you are from the property?
Well, I'm looking at that map, and I'm looking at the proposed residence. And you tell me.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I do understand that noise certainly travels. I get that. It will be heard.
it's in a valley.
Yeah, I hear your concern.
Okay. That's all I want to express my concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else wishing to speak in opposition? Yes, sir.
Please come up here.
Are you, yeah, come on, come forward. Are you you say you're the property owner?
Yes, sir.
Just point on the map, which property?
The property proposed.
Oh, okay, so you're currently that property owner?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me get you sworn in.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
And name and address?
Harold Busack, 1512 West Highway 42, LaGrange.
Harold, go ahead.
Speaking of Mr. Learning and his gun range and whatnot, he shoots away from our property. We have livestock roaming the whole property, including the property that's not being sold. We've never had anything shot, so I don't think any of his gunfire comes toward our way. While I do occasionally hear the gunfire, I don't think it's anything that's going to cause anybody to phone the sheriff or anything else. I don't think it's loud enough to cause any issues. Just want to make sure the board was aware of that situation.
You're currently in opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds to me like he is not in opposition.
He's in rebuttal.
That's yeah, that's right, that'd be in rebuttal.
That's right.
Harold, thank you. Let me call you forward here again in just 1 second, if you want to sit in one of the closed seats. And this is just procedural. Thank you, Harold. I do want to ask you some questions.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else in opposition? Okay.
Before we move on, the question was posed before he came up about how far away that was. The very front of the property is 305 feet, so I'm not going to guesstimate, but that gives you a distance sight on the map at least to
Okay.
get some idea.
Okay. All right, time for rebuttal of opposition. So if I can get you guys to come forward. You've heard opposition.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add. Eric might want to add some things about the noise issue that's been raised.
Our experience in Texas was that we were out in the country, very similar situation, rural area. There were hunters out there and folks that fired guns out there. The residents never had a problem with that noise. It was usually confined to daylight hours. It wasn't overnight shooting, and the fact that he's shooting away from the building is a peace of mind for me.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you do not have any concerns with gunfire?
No.
And in your experience, this is not common in your experience, but you have had this in your experience, and it has not been an issue
It's
with
not
residents?
been an issue, no.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, rebuttal by opposition? Okay. Harold, can I get you to come forward, please? Thank you for your statements. The sound of it, you said that it really wasn't that loud, that obnoxious.
Correct.
You hear it, but it's it's typical gunfire that you'd hear out in the country.
Correct.
Have you ever been startled by it, or have your kids or do you have family, have they ever been startled by it?
No,
Or
we walk in those woods all the time and hear it, and it is what it is. Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions for Harold? Thank you. Final statements? Do you guys have any final statements?
No, sir, we do not.
Board members, questions for Jim?
I've actually got a clarification question that I want to ask Mr. Roberts. I think that I heard him say that this new 40-foot access would provide access to both the front building and the back building. They currently have an easement going, and if you look at their site, the existing house, the garage is on the side of the current access easement. So I want to get clarification on that,
Okay.
if I heard you correctly.
Yes, that's my understanding. They're gonna move the entryway that's currently there on the adjacent property, move it onto the flagpole, and we will have to get some kind of cross-access easement, so the front lot can also use that driveway, but there'll just be one driveway that then splinters off to serve both. Is that correct?
So,
Yeah.
you're not gonna use the existing driveway?
I mean, that's not the plan. I guess temporarily, yes, but yeah, they're gonna build the other driveway, correct?
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, any
Yeah,
other questions?
Yeah, I do. For staff here, my question is, for example, there's been some talk about putting a condition about the number of residents. Because we're really talking about two pieces of property, are we talking about two conditional uses? Are we talking about one? And can we do limitations, or should we do limitations for each? Or can we do a combined?
You have two applications, one for each address. Well, no what?
No, there's one application for the community residents that have one at both locations.
Both locations, but,
Separate application for road frontage.
oh, I'm sorry. But I think you should make a decision separately on both of them, because you have different conditions you're gonna place on them.
So there's one application, but we're really providing two motions for two separate conditional uses.
Right.
Actually, three motions, two,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
for each CUP and then one for the road frontage, but there's two applications. So we're going to call for the CUP, two motions, we'll call it, and then we'll get motion for the road frontage, and we'll call that.
Yeah, so there's three motions, but on the CUPs, to do them separately would mean, okay, so I'm trying to think of worst-case scenarios, okay? And what I'm going through is, whether we like it or not, you know, if anybody's ever known anybody who had a problem with a home, a roof, a fire, whatever, suddenly you have, let's say we're at max capacity in both facilities or not. And then suddenly there's an event, a tragic event that happens for that one house has a problem. I'm trying to figure out, do we do something that combines the two of them so that we, you know, for example, if a stove catches on fire in the front one and it can't be inhabited for 2 or 3 days while they fix something, should we do a maximum of 22 people for the two properties, or?
No, I think you'd
I'm asking.
exceed the occupancy load.
See where I'm just, you see
It's
where I'm
an
heading?
interesting, but I think you could ask the applicant whether they would have to then find them a different facility. My gut feeling is that you know, I don't know what occupancy.
I'm looking out, trying to look out for the residents at this point, is what I'm asking about. I appreciate that.
But you
So-
would exceed the occupancy, which they wouldn't allow you to do that. So,
Right. That's, well, my understanding is you would have to move those residents somewhere else, discharge them to home, or to find another temporary placement for them, and not overfill one home over the limitation of the license.
There you go. Thank you. That helps me.
But that's I didn't even think, go down the occupancy. So we talked about 12 to 16 on the one in the back. Talk to me about occupancy.
Well, it would depend on
We
what kind of
also
license.
said 8,500 square feet.
It would depend on what kind of license they have to have from the state, and meet the Kentucky building codes regarding that, so.
So all we have, if we were to grant this and setting conditions, we would just set conditions not to exceed a certain number of people. And then
Correct.
permits aside, that's- okay.
Yeah, and I do have 4 potential conditions that I've heard during the presentation and questioning and whatnot, if you want me to read them.
Sure.
And then this is where the applicant would consider whether they are in agreement with these conditions. The first one is that the sign out on the front at US 42 has to meet our sign requirements, and it shall not be lit. The second one is that any lighting in the parking area be down lighting and not encroach on adjoining properties. The third is that, and this would be different for each one, but that the facility not exceed X amount of residents. And again, that's for you all to decide what that number is. And then the fourth one is that the new driveway off of US 42 be provided for the existing house as well as the second proposed facility. Is that agreeable?
Yes, those two conditions are all agreeable. My only comment would be just for clarification. In terms of the second home, we've talked about 12 to 16. That's an estimate of what they hope to have under their business model. Since we're talking about maximums, we would ask that it just be set as a maximum of 16 and not mention the 12.
Sure.
In addition to that, was I correct? And that's 12 to 16 residents in addition to 2 staffed overnight employees?
That's correct. That's my
I
understanding.
even need to, I don't
think-
even,
We don't need to talk about staff.
okay.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
residents.
All right, very
And
good.
then the front would be maximum of 6.
Correct. Yes. Thank you.
All right, board members, any other questions for anybody in the audience? Good. Okay, I'm ready to entertain a motion.
We're gonna need 2 separate motions on the conditional use. Under note 1 first, and then note 2 second. And you need to put your conditions with each motion on 1 first, and then 2 second. And then we'll go to the variance.
So on that then, what's the reference? Because I can't just refer to 18005. We would have to refer to, how do I address literally put an address on the 2?
Correct. Yeah, you would say reference to 18 OC-18-005 for property located at 1412 or 1512 West Highway 42. Then the second motion would be for the 1400 block because that lot's not been created yet, therefore it doesn't have an address. So you would say the 1400 block. And it would, as always, it's only to the application that was submitted, so it's based off of what was submitted today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the 1512 would refer to the 6, and the 1400 block as proposed would refer to the 16. With no reference to the 12.
That's correct. Whenever anybody's ready, if we need time to put it together, we can.
It may take me a minute, but I think I'm ready. Move to approve OC-18-005 for conditional use permit for the current building with address of 1512 West Highway 42 for, based on the testimony that a community residence is within the defined conditional uses under section 020-030 within Oldham County's comprehensive zoning ordinance, that facility for, conditional use for community residence be approved because it does not conflict with any of the elements and objectives of the comprehensive plan, because it is desirable for the community. Conditions of that use would be that all lighting for parking will be downward facing and not encroach on neighboring properties, that no more than 6 residents in total, or no more than 6 residents be allowed in that location, that sign requirements meet the local ordinance requirements and not be lit, that a new driveway be built and be in use within 6 months of the opening of the facility, and that the conditional use permit shall only be applied to the application considered at the January 18th, 2018 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing.
I second that.
Any discussion? Good motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That one's been approved. And the second one?
Move to approve OC-18-005 for location in the 1400 block of West Highway 42 for a new building based on the evidence that the facility would have a maximum of 16 people, that it is a defined conditional use under section 020-030 as a community residence, that it is essential and desirable to the community and not in conflict with the objectives and policies of the comprehensive plan. The conditions of approval would include all lighting added for parking will be downward facing and not encroach on neighboring properties, that there'll be no more than 16 residents in that facility, that the sign requirements meet the local ordinance and not be lit, and that the new driveway will be built to access that facility and be under use within 6 months of the opening of that facility. The conditional use permit shall only apply to the application considered at the January 18, 2018 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing.
Can I get a second?
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Both of those have been approved. And if we want to talk about the variance, or get a motion on the variance.
All right. Move to approve OC-18-006 for a road frontage variance in the amount of 260 feet, creating a lot or flag lot that would go to the proposed structure at the 1400 block of West Highway 42 for a community residence under section 020-030 as approved in a previous conditional use, because the evidence have shown that it is an approved use, an approved conditional use in the area. Just right.
Road
Okay.
frontage.
Okay, drop that last piece. And that the road frontage variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare of the community, will not alter the essential character of the community, and will not cause a hazard or public nuisance or an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulation. The variance shall only apply to the application considered at the January 18, 2018 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That has also been approved. Thank you, guys. Okay, we have minutes. Have there been any modifications to the minutes? Do we need to take time to go over them? Have you had time to do so?
Just a quick question on those minutes. On page 3, at the top of page 3, I had made the motion to approve docket item number OC 17028, and Mr. Houchins had suggested an amendment to that, and I'm wondering if this reads appropriately regarding the action that was taken.
So what are you suggesting?
Well, just, you amended the motion,
Correct?
and,
So what do you suggest to change?
pardon?
What do you suggest needs to be changed?
I'm asking the question if the way it's written is satisfactory regarding the action was taken.
You are correct, because we did refer to specific evidence in there, not that just that there was evidence.
Read it again for me.
Says Board Member Allen amended the motion for docket OC 17028, seconded by Board Member Houchin, to add the evidence that was presented that the property line being moved will not alter the character of the general vicinity.
Okay,
good.
so
Is
what
that
do
good
you
enough?
want it to say?
I don't, no, I'm just asking the question. I made the motion, and Mr. Houchin suggested that it needed to be amended, and it doesn't really say that Mr. Houchin suggested it be amended.
I think that's fine.
Is it okay the way that it's written?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm okay
because
with
that
it.
was the motion, so.
okay.
Okay, anything else on it?
Move to approve the minutes of the Thursday, December 21st meeting of the Oldham County Board of Adjustments.
A second?
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes approved.
You will have a meeting next month. Obviously, there was one that was from this month that was deferred. If, Mr. Pate will not be here, so if any other member will not be here, please let me know, to make sure that we have a quorum.
Very good.
You might want to take me off of the,
This is Mike's last meeting with us,
Okay?
so thank you for your service.
you might want to take me off the mailing list, is that sort of thing?
I will, yep, when we have notification, so yep.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, can we get a motion to adjourn?
I have one request before we adjourn. Can we turn the heat up in here next time? I keep freezing here in the middle of the winter. We may have to have Brooke walk out of the room because she's too
Can't
warm
change
right
it.
now,
It's
but.
a government building, it's all screwed up, and it's not
Yeah.
gonna change.
This whole building is like that. So
Wear a sweater.
Is it
like
too
that since
cold
they
or
built
too
it.
hot? Summertime, same way.
You sit next to me because I'm shivering.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Mike's off, please.
Hold on, wait a minute. Let me see. Why can't I get this thing done? Stop, yes.
We are.